It's another day of Bookmas, and today we're going to talk about my reread pile of possibilities. So, cheers. Happy holidays to you. Okay, I have been talking about books I wanted to reread all year, and the pile of possibilities became so big I could no longer keep track of it. So there are a few that I was looking at the other day and thought I might want to reread those. One or two of these probably are on the list. I know there was another one that I said I would like to reread, and I don't know that I'm ready for that one yet because some of these are a little sad, but we'll just see. Again, these are possibilities. I'm not committing to these. I'm trying not to overcommit this year. I'm pushing back a little bit from my goals, and I'm just leaving myself more room to read whatever I'd like to read. So we shall see how this goes. But let's talk about these books that I have loved, that have stayed with me all this time, and that I would not mind rereading in 2026. Here we go. The first one on my list is The Storied Life of A.J. Fikry by Gabrielle Zevin. I loved this book. I talk about this book a lot. I did not love Tomorrow Cubed as much as I loved this book for sure, but this one is a sad and a bit dark one. This is about A.J. Fikry, who owns a bookstore, and I think he's on an island, so you can only get there by ferry. And he's had a really rough experience. He's grieving, he's mourning some loss, and his family are trying to support him. He's not working very hard at the bookstore. He's not getting a lot of people in. But there is a community of folks in this book that also brought me some joy. But a woman shows up at his bookstore one day with she works for a publisher, and she's a publicist, and she's trying to get this book pressed into his hands to see if he'll buy it for the bookstore. And he's a curmudgeon. I mean, he's really just not an easy guy to like, but he finally agrees to take a look at the book, and the rest of this is about his life and what ensues after. So this is about family found and lost. It is about community. It is about reinventing ourselves, and it is just beautiful. It can be challenging emotionally, and I am okay with that. I started book darting this about halfway through, if you can see them, and the other day I was like, you know what, I could reread this and annotate it like I'm doing currently with my friends, which I can't believe I'm doing, but I am. I've just not been an annotator of fiction before in my life, but I could do that with this one, or I could just, add some more darts. But I'd love to reread this one at some point. This one is unforgettable. Unforgettable. The next one is a book number one in a series that I have read two books of, which is good. And this is Magpie Murders by Anthony Horowitz. It is a series, Susan Ryland, book one, and I really enjoy these. I just recently recommended this on the video that I did for the bucket list readathon that Danny Dabbles has put forward, and I'm going to continue to participate in that one because I've really enjoyed it, and I have some other prompts I'd like to get to. But this one would be a 2026 reread if I choose to do that. And the third book is called Marble Hall Murders, and I would like to reread both one and two before I go there. And again, these are pretty chunky, and it's a book within a book. And it is about Alan Conway, who has been writing for a long, long time. He's not an easy guy either. He's a bit of a curmudgeon. There's probably a theme here in that regard. But also, he dies in the beginning of the book. And so they now are, looking at his current manuscript and recognizing that there might be some things. Susan Ryland's the editor, and she's like, there might be some weird things happening here. And so then what ensues is you get to read the book within a book that he wrote, the manuscript that he wrote, that she's reading, and find out what she's thinking and wondering what happened. So it's about Alan Conway and Susan Ryland. It's also about Atticus Pund and the book that is about him in here. And it's time to reread those at some point. Will it be 2026? Also, I just saw the Women in Cabin 10 movie. If you've seen it, let me know what you thought about it. But I realized that I have the second one, the sequel to this book by Ruth Ware, and I might want to reread The Woman in Cabin 10 before that. I don't have to. It's the same character, but it's a very different setup. So this one is set on a cruise ship, and she's coming on to kind of review the cruise ship, as I remember, or do an interview with the owners. I don't know. But also the second one is set in a hotel, and she's older and some things have happened to her since this one. The plot is that she is in her cabin 10, and she hears some noise, and she thinks someone is being hurt in the cabin next door to her in cabin 10, and she reports it, and they say there is no one in cabin 10, but she's certain that she heard somebody there, and she wants to know what happened. So I enjoyed it. It was fairly fast in the reads. Ruth Ware's usually are for me, so that would be good. It's not quite as big, nor is this one. Princess Bride by William Goldman. This is the movie tie-in cover to this, which I kind of would rather to have the one that he originally published, but I don't know that I don't need a first edition, but I wonder what that one looked like, because I mean it's okay. I like this movie a lot. It's really good, and I haven't read this for a very, very long time. So it would be nice to get to this one again because it's been a while. This is about Princess Buttercup, and it is also about Prince Humperdinck, and he's kind of a terrible guy, uh, more than kind of a terrible guy, but he also wants her to marry him, hence the Princess Bride. But then a pirate shows up, and he has entered into her life and experience as well. And so the story of what unfolds as a result is then told in this particular book. So it's fantasy, but historical fantasy, I guess. And I've always loved the book and the movie. But again, it's been a long time since I read the book, so I might feel differently about it now. But it's moving. It's really very sweet. We quote The Princess Bride from the movie all the time. All the time. Also, William Goldman, if you didn't know, won two Academy Awards, one for Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, and one for All the President's Men. So this is no slouch of an author, for sure. Nor is this one. Kate Atkinson, Life After Life. One of my all-time favorites. Will never stop thinking about this book. I remember where I was when I read it. I was on my way to a funeral on a flight. I remember loving it. I remember texting my family and saying, you have to read this book. It's incredible. The premise of this historical speculative fiction is what I would call it, and I didn't look it up to see what somebody else would call it, but is very unique. So this is about Ursula Todd, who is born to her parents in the 1900s, early 1900s, and she immediately dies before she is able to take a breath. And then she returns in another situation, in another lifetime, in another life, essentially. She continues to return and return and to return. And it's complex. And yet, to me, this is one of her best novels. And I've read the other one, God in Ruins. Is that what it's called? The God in Ruins? I don't know. Goodness sakes, I wish I did. I love that one too. It's a sequel to this, but it's also different characters and different things. But I love these. I do want to read her detective stories, but I've read most of her historical fiction, and she's just incredible. She's an author that I definitely auto buy. It's But My Heart. This one got me. Tell the Wolves I'm Home by Carol Rivka Brunt. I read this a long time ago, and I think before I was on Goodreads for sure. And I absolutely have never forgotten this one either. And I've been wanting to reread this one. I think this was one of the ones I mentioned in one of the videos that I'd like to reread. It's tough too. It has some really dark, sad points to it, but it's so well written and it's so well done. So this is about a young girl who's 14 and her name is June Elbis, and her uncle is a painter. And then he passes away, and her uncle has been like a little lifeline for her. I don't remember if her parents were mean to her, but I know they weren't loving of her uncle. And so but she absolutely adored him and always wanted to be with him. And she doesn't understand why there's this conflict with her parents and her uncle. When her uncle dies, which you know from the synopsis that he will, she discovers that he had a friend that she didn't know about, and he reaches out to her. And what happens from then is, I don't want to tell you except to say that it's one of the most beautiful stories I had read at that period of time in my life, and it was an important piece of work. So it's about love, family, found family, loss, grief, acceptance, growth. It's just gorgeous. It's just gorgeous. And the reason I want to reread this is because we went to see the second Wicked movie this weekend. And I enjoyed the first one a lot. I enjoyed the second one a good bit, but I enjoyed the first one. Like, I loved the first one. That was like if it was a book, it was a five-star read. I have only read it once, discovered in our conversations and my conversation with, or our conversation with our youngest daughter who's seen it and our daughter-in-law who's seen it, that I hadn't read Wicked for a long time. I think I read it when it first came out, and I have it. And I hadn't thought about rereading it necessarily until now, because I realized as we were discussing this that I don't remember some of the things that happened in the book. So I have this edition, which is gorgeous. I know, the sprayed edges got me, but also the fact that this is both books in one. So that was super exciting. Will I read this copy of it? Probably not. I still have the paperback original copy that we got all those years ago. This one too, I remember when I got it. I remember where I was. I remember what I was working on at that time, who I was working for. I remember I have it on my Nook. I remember I got my Nook and I loaded it pretty quickly. Like, seriously, have all those memories of where I was and what I was doing when I got the book and read the book, but I don't remember a lot about it. There's obviously some things having that discussion that I don't remember at all. So there's also the fact that I haven't read anything past Wicked, so I'd like to get onto that stack that's on my shelves. And we've collected a number of Gregory Maguire novels over the years and just haven't gotten to them. My partner, and I think Megan too, has read more than one. My daughter-in-law has not read them. She's just seen the movie. Now, here's the challenge with this. I want to read the story of Elphaba's childhood, which is called Elfie, and it came out last year, and the reviews are horrid. I gotta tell you, they're just not good. And there's a new one coming out in September called Galinda, which is about her childhood. And I don't know how that's going to go since the Elfie book didn't go so well. But I would like to at least continue on in this particular group of books that are all in the Wicked canon. And then if I decide to go on to some of the others that we have, then that's fine. But if I don't, then that's also fine too. But I don't know if I want to read Elfie or Galinda just based on some of the things that people have said. But I did enjoy Wicked. I do remember liking it a lot. I do remember it was a challenging read at times, and I thought it was very unique, and I was all in, right? So we shall see if I'm still all in and if I go on to Son of a Witch and the rest and the rest. I would like to see where this story goes. I will tell you that the movies are not at all like the books. Really? Also, though, the movies are based on the Broadway show, which we've seen a number of times. It's not also departed from the book. So, there's that. I mean, I'm not expecting the book to be that way because I know that it's not. But I do like this work, or I did like this work, and I'd like to see if I still like this work. So we shall see. Um, oh gosh, I love this cover and back. It's just this whole thing. Now the maps are in the original publication as well, which I do like a map, but this one is so pretty. It is illustrated too. It has some illustrations and it's just super pretty. I mean, who could resist this, right? I got this last year around this time, I think, because we were buying Christmas gifts. And I saw it and I said, I have to have that. And then Lisa said, I do too. So there you go. All right, so that's my pile of possible rereads for 2026. I'm sure there will be others that I decide in the spur of the moment to reread immediately next year, but I would love to know what your relationship is to rereading, what you know or want to know about these books if you've read them or haven't read them, but you're excited about them. I can't wait to hear what you think about each of these. If you'd like to share your comments about what you thought, certainly can do that. If you'd like to share an emoji that is sort of related to any of these books, also, that would be fun. A princess or a pirate or a witch or Christmassy things. If you'd like to share that as well, that's all good. But thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for joining me during this holiday season. And as always, happy reading. Bye.